to Safety Harbor Scott. I'm Scott Long. My guest today is Scott Johnson. He's the host of What Was That Like podcast, produced right here in Safety Harbor every other Friday. Since starting it almost 5 years ago, he's produced 137 episodes. Impressive, by the way. With more than 7 million total downloads. Totally impressive, by the way. And his day job for now is owner of a computer tutor, servicing Windows computers. So if you have anything with Windows, he's your guy too. So, Scott, I want to start out by kind of like how we got to know each other, if I'm remembering it correctly. So, I started a podcast back in 2005, like way back before anybody knew a podcast.
Wow, that's when you had to figure out how to listen to a podcast.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I had no idea what I was doing. It wasn't my idea. Somebody else told me to do it, and my business partner a future business partner and I started it, right? Mm-hmm. But you're right, it's like, I didn't know what podcasts were. You had to look for them. Right. Like now, we're like,
even if you don't want the file and putting it on an iPod player or something.
Yes, getting it uploaded to the internet was a whole kind of thing as well, too. Right. Anyhow, so way back in the old days, back before color was invented, I had a podcast, and you were a listener of it, right? And then you kind of found out that I live in Safety Harbor, you live in Safety Harbor, and that's kind of how we got to know each other.
That seems to be it.
Right?
Yes. I don't remember a specific time where we first met.
Right.
But it's been a while though.
Seems like it worked out that way. So flash forward, I no longer do my podcast, and now you have a podcast that's amazingly more popular than ours ever was. Admittedly, we didn't put the work into it that you did. But anyhow, so one, I'm duly impressed with what you've done with this, and it's a fantastic podcast, by the way. So, gonna have fun talking about this today. So,
yeah, it is fun.
So first of all, before we even get into how it gets started, I want to be sure we tell people this. Most people know where to find podcasts now, but do you want to just let folks know if they're not into podcasting?
If you've never had or heard of or listened to a podcast, really. The best way, if you have an iPhone, you already have the app on your phone, iTunes or Apple Podcasts, I don't know what they call them these days, but and if you have an Android, you can download any podcast app, or like Spotify. A lot of people just listen on Spotify, and just do a search for something you're interested in. And there's a podcast about it. No matter how niche the topic is, somebody's talking about it. And a lot of the shows are really good.
Yeah.
A lot of them are really bad, too. So you just got to search for what you like.
You'll figure it out pretty quickly. We'll figure it out. It's fantastic. It's very easy to find those things. So check that out. So, all right. So let's get into how it got started. So is this like a hobby kind of thing? Did you do other podcasts?
I actually started podcasting in 2012.
Okay.
And that was when I did my computer podcast then. It was like a weekly thing, some tip or trick, for non-techie people. I don't do that anymore. That stopped a couple of years ago. But around 2016, 17, I found that in listening to podcasts, I found that the ones that I really like are the ones where somebody's telling a story. And especially if it's a true story.
Sure.
That's even better. And I looked around, I couldn't find any shows really doing that.
Really?
At least not how I would do it. So I already knew how to make a podcast, and I said, okay, I'll just do it myself. And there we went.
That's how all great things come up, right? Looking for it, no one's doing it, all right, I'll do it myself.
There's a problem, you got to solve it. Yeah.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about what was that like. I think people can probably figure that out, but why don't you tell us a little bit more about?
Well, every episode is a conversation with some regular person who has been through something extremely unusual. And some of my past guests have included people who have survived a plane crash, gotten attacked by a grizzly bear, been in a mass shooting, and a lot of the stories are kind of dark like that. But we do a fun one every once in a while. Like had someone on who won a showcase on The Price is Right.
Yep.
And so we like happy stories every once in a while. But the guest just comes on the show and tells the story of what happened firsthand.
And you're right; these serial kind of podcasts are really popular. Like people just I go back to when I was a kid. Paul Harvey. I don't know if you ever remember Paul Harvey on the radio, but that's kind of a similar thing, right? Except that wasn't an interview, but it was a good story about a real person, and then fascinating. All right, so how do you find these guests? Do people reach out to you and say, "Hey, I've got a crazy story," or are you after pounding the pavement trying to find them?
I do get a lot of pitches. I unfortunately have to reject most of them just because they're not bizarre enough.
Yeah, not
You
unusual
know,
enough, right?
not to minimize, somebody that's been through something really traumatic. It was traumatic for them, but there's some of the cases. There's so many stories like that. They're just not good enough. So,
Like finding toilet paper at the grocery store during COVID, right?
yeah, exactly.
Big deal if you did it, but yeah.
But yeah, when I first started, I figured, okay, I'll make a list, and so I started a list of like people that I want to talk to, like somebody struck by lightning, or somebody who was rescued from their burning house, or or somebody who rescued someone from a burning house. And then I just went out and started looking for those news stories and trying to find those people.
Okay.
And I got really fortunate on the very first episode. It was with a woman who accidentally killed someone.
Whoa.
She was in her car driving with her 2 little girls, pulled into an intersection. It was nighttime. She didn't see the motorcycle approaching from the left, and he hit her car and died.
Oh,
and
geez.
I was actually on that episode. You'll hear the 911 audio that she made from the scene while she's in the road, and told the whole story. And there's just so much to talk about in a story like that. And that was the very first episode, so it's like, wow, I really got fortunate on that.
Yeah.
But yeah, now I found people on Instagram, on Reddit, just looking at news stories, but at this point the audience is big enough that a lot of my stories are coming from listeners saying, "Hey, I've been listening to your show for a while, and I had this thing. You think it would be a good show? Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't."
Wow, that's fantastic. All right, so let's talk about some of these guests. You obviously you mentioned that a lot of it goes in the dark territory, not all of it, but are there a couple really interesting guests, things that if people haven't listened to your show, maybe they start with that one or two just because it's just so out there or so interesting to you, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, well, I try to title each episode so that it sounds interesting to everyone. Because I want people, when you're scrolling through how you subscribe to a show, you don't listen to every single episode. You look and see, okay, I'll listen to that one. I want people to look at that new episode that comes out and say, okay, I gotta hear that show.
Yeah,
know. But I've had a bunch of them like that. There was a guy who lives here in Florida. He went over to Switzerland and to go hang gliding, and so he'd never hang glided before. So then he's with the instructor. They're both on the hang glider, and they go running down the hill and go airborne. That's when he realizes he was not attached to the hang glider. He's literally
like
hanging by his hands.
Literally a nightmare.
And the instructor is obviously terrified. He's going to kill this guy. And so he's trying to go down, but they're going down a hill. So they're actually gaining altitude. And so it was several minutes before they finally were able to get down. And he still fell and broke his wrist. But yeah, he told that story. And here's the funny thing. He had his GoPro mounted on the back of the hang glider. Right. And that's how that video went viral. You saw it all over the world. But the only reason he had that, when he went back, he got out of the hospital, went back to the hang glider company to get the camera and the video, that the video was deleted.
Oh, really?
And of course, because they don't want the liability of, but he went and he was able to get the data recovered. That's how he was able to get the video.
Oh, wow.
And so, yeah, he came on and said, yeah, here's what happened. And that's the kind of things we talk about.
Wow. Yeah, that is literally a nightmare there. What's the feedback from listeners? Because one of the things that I enjoyed most about our Ante Up podcast, which was a poker podcast, was we called them the Ante Up Nation, like the community that we built around it, and them emailing and talking to us, and I became really good friends with some of them. I stayed at their houses, and it's really kind of crazy how this podcast community takes off, right? So what kind of reactions do you usually get from your guests? Do you have folks like that? I mean, I guess your listeners, your regular ones.
Yeah. What the listeners really like is hearing when someone comes on, like I recently had a lady come on who had a toddler who fell in the pool and drowned. And talk about a sad, sad topic. But she wanted to come on the show to raise awareness of infant swimming and to help save other people's lives. And I hear from my listeners that, man, I can't believe that when someone comes on and is so vulnerable and transparent, and a lot of times the guest is crying while they're telling the story.
Sure, yeah.
That's just the kind of stories I really am intrigued by. Someone where it just hits such a raw nerve of emotion, and my listeners seem to enjoy that as well.
And how do you? Maybe this is a personal question because everybody's wired a little differently. and maybe you're wired differently than I am, but how do you hold it together during those kind of shows, right? I mean, because you're having somebody relive the worst day of their life, and probably like all these, with other the exception of the Price is Right guy, right? But, you know, you're having to relive their worst day. It helps that it sounds like they want to do it for awareness, but that's
Yeah,
it's difficult not to ask the wrong question, right? Or go the wrong direction with it.
I really have to be careful with that. Yeah, and I want to be so sensitive to these people and their stories. Like I had one guy who lost his teenage son to an asthma attack, and when he came on the show to record, it had only happened 6 weeks before.
Wow.
And I asked him, I said, is it too soon? Maybe we should wait a little bit. No, he didn't want to wait. His son, in dying, was an organ donor, and he wanted to raise awareness of that to people. That was his purpose, his cause now. And he was crying in the first 3 minutes talking about that story. And yeah, for me, it is kind of tough to hold it together sometimes. But it's an important thing to get out.
Now, when you record these, are they? I know it's a podcast, so it's audio only. But when you're talking to these folks, is this over like a Zoom where you can see them, or is this over phone so you can't see them? Because that would make a difference to me too, right?
Yeah, it is. It's a service that's similar to Zoom, but it's not Zoom.
Okay.
So we can see each other, but the video is not recorded.
Gotcha.
We're only recording the audio. So yeah, we can see each other while we're talking, and so body language comes into it. And honestly, for the most part, I just try to stay out of the way.
Yeah.
I ask the question and just
Let
let
them
them
tell
tell
the
the story. Yeah.
Yeah, fantastic. Okay, so you've been doing this for almost 5 years, if I did the math right. So we got this question a lot with Andy up, like, what was the future of it? And like, and we weren't as invested in it as you were because it was just a part of our company. And we probably could have grown it into something much bigger had we been focused on it, but we didn't. When people ask me like, what's the future of it? I'm like, next Wednesday I'm going to record another one. I don't know. But do you have a plan for this? Is this something that gets bigger at some point, or is this something that spawns maybe some other podcasts that you're going to do? Or
I wouldn't rule out doing other podcasts, or maybe just being a host on somebody else's, a co-host on another podcast, something like that. But honestly, this is my focus now, to just grow this audience. We're around 7 million downloads now, and I'm shooting for 100 million. And I think I kind of knew from the beginning with the idea, because of just the fundamental fact that people really love hearing a good story. It kind of made me think, oh, this has a chance to be one of the big podcasts, and I still think that.
I also like your promotion too. So I mean, you've got a hat, of course, which I'll be you. But I had friends in from out of town who know nothing of you, and we're getting together. It's like, hey, I drove down this road and I saw this car that said, "What was that like?" on it. And I'm like, yeah, that's Scott. I know that guy. So you do a great promotion, and then I see you out biking every morning, and sometimes you actually you're broadcasting the shows from your bike, right?
If it's kind of funny, I have a new episode come out every other Friday, and on the Friday that I have a new episode out, that's what I'm listening to when I'm out on my bike ride, because I want to hear it just like everybody else in the audience, to make sure it all sounds good and something didn't go wrong. And honestly, I just love hearing those stories again myself,
Yeah, it is kind of nice to go back and hear them again and see how that... Fantastic. Okay, so, I mean, there might be some folks out there that are starting out in podcasting. Maybe they want to start on podcasting. Honestly, from a technical standpoint, maybe you'll disagree with me, it has never been easier to do this now. I mean, if we go back to 2005, like you mentioned, it was crazy hard. But now there's apps out there you just record on your phone and upload if you want it to be completely raw and easy.
Right.
But what are some of your tips for people, these budding podcasters that want to get into it, and specifically the ones that want to really take it seriously? They're not just not wanting just to upload a show and have it take off.
Right. The biggest mistake I see, or one of the big mistakes, is that people get into podcasting because they want to make money. And you don't make money, not for a while. So really, I think the first step, and before you start buying microphones and looking up guests, if it's going to be a guest podcast, the first thing really is to decide what you want to talk about. And the question that I would ask myself is, if you had to talk for an hour nonstop on some topic, what would that topic be? And whatever it is, that's what you're passionate about. Because when you go, typically the timeline is about 3 years before you start to gain any traction or see bigger download numbers, or start to get sponsors even, if you can keep going because of your passion for the project, then that's what's going to keep you going, not because you see, well, I'm rolling in money.
Yeah.
Because that doesn't happen for very few people, unless you're a celebrity already
Right.
and have a following. Then
Big audience.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep, fascinating. All right, Scott, I'm going to do the news, and we'll come back and we'll do the 5 Qs, which I know you're excited about because you have no idea what to expect here.
Can't wait.
All right, the news this week. The City of Safety Harbor is now transporting its recyclable materials to a private company rather than the City of Clearwater, which continues to investigate how many months of worth of recyclable material was sent to Pinellas County Solid Waste Facility instead of the Ybor City Recycling Facility. And speaking of those folks, it is Public Service Recognition Week in Safety Harbor, with residents asked to show their appreciation to all city and county workers. So if you see one, say hi. I don't know if we can give you a hug anymore. I don't know if we're allowed to do that, but say hi to them and tell them you appreciate what they're doing. So, things to do this week. Thursday, the Safety Harbor Public Library hosts New York Times bestselling author Sarah Penner for a talk. Saturday is the annual Hippie Dash 5K starting at Safety Harbor Waterfront Park. It includes a vintage VW Fest. And Sunday, of course, is Mother's Day with a number of events throughout Safety Harbor, so don't forget Mom. More details on all these news and things to do, and more can be found at the Quaz 34695 app, available for free at the Google Play and Apple App Store. All right, let's get into 5 Qs. So every week, I don't know how familiar you are with this, but we give 2 categories.
Right. Okay.
The first one, of course, is famous Hungarian violinists of the 1680s.
Nice.
No one's bid
How
on
did
it.
you know I was into that?
No one's bid on it yet, so maybe you can be the first one.
Okay.
If you don't like that one, how about Scots?
Great.
Want to do that?
This is Safety Harbor. By the way, I thought I was the Safety Harbor Scott.
Well,
I don't know what's going
you
on.
talk to my
there.
attorney about that because I'm trademarking.
You may
it
hear
as
from
we-
my legal team.
That's awesome. All right, let's do Scots here. I think it's interesting that you're the first Scott guest I've had. So
Okay.
we have 2 Scots here. So very popular name, very unique name. Can I ask you what your middle name is?
Scott?
Scott, or just
No,
middle name?
I go by my middle name. My first name's Thomas.
Oh, well, that's gonna throw a wrench in the
Oh, it does.
Interesting.
My whole life.
Well, the reason I asked that is like every Scott I know, their middle name is Allen. I don't know why that is.
Oh.
I don't know if that's the federal law, or if hospitals automatically write that in on the birth certificate.
Wow,
but-
is that your middle name?
Yeah.
Wow. Interesting.
But your middle name is Scott. Okay, all right.
I hope it gets more interesting from here.
Let's hope so. We might have to bring out some of that Price is Right contestant again. All right, so cue number 1. Scott Bakula starred in a TV series called Quantum Leap. I don't know if you remember this.
I can picture his face.
All right, where he time traveled.
Uh-huh.
What specific event in our nation's history would you travel back to experience?
Oh, wow. Man, I hope you can edit this part out while I'm thinking, right?
We'll just put little thought bubbles over you.
I guess I'd probably go back to the Gettysburg Address.
That's a good one.
Has anyone said that one before?
No, well, actually, no. I haven't asked anybody. I asked a similar question to
Uh-huh.
Laura Kepner about what time period you go back. I didn't ask for a specific event. This is the first time I'm asking that. Gettysburg Address. That's an interesting one.
That would be fun to watch, yeah.
So I think what would be interesting about that is I'm a big Lincoln fan. So I got Lincoln over there as well too. Is that speech was panned back in the day?
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't like this. We think of it now as like one of the greatest speeches of all time, which
Right,
it is.
but nobody knew it then.
At the time, they didn't know it. He wasn't even the featured speaker. He was the president, and he was the opening act, right?
Wow, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, and the guy and the Gettysburg Address was such a short address, right?
very short.
The other guy went on and on and on. No one talks about that anymore, so that's fascinating. But yeah, there was actually a newspaper critic that did not like that speech.
Huh.
And another fun fact, I didn't know you were going there. So this is all my Gettysburg Address.
I didn't know I was going to trigger you
right?
here.
But there was an SNL skit not too long ago. I think it's Jebediah Atkinson, I believe is his name. I could be wrong on that. Was the newspaper writer that panned the speech.
Somebody's going to fact check you on that
Yeah,
one.
exactly. And I'm probably wrong. But SNL picked up on that, and they did a recurring character on Weekend Update where they critiqued
Ah,
Everything. Fascinating. So,
That's
yeah,
interesting.
well,
Okay.
that was a good answer. You didn't even know how good that answer
cool.
was.
I hit it out of the park. Can we just stop there?
Yeah.
Okay.
So the funny thing is, when I told Laura Kempner, I talked about the beginning of the country, like back in the Continental Congress, those kind of things.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's an event, curious what you think about this. I think if I get one try,
Mm-hmm.
I got to go back to November 22nd, 63 and be on that grassy knoll.
Oh, then you'd really know what
I
happened.
just got to know, right?
Right, yeah.
I mean, I don't believe in the whole conspiracy theory, but I'm not entirely sure.
Mm-hmm.
I want to be there just to
That would be, yeah.
see it.
And of course, if that happened now, everybody has a camera. There wouldn't
No
be
way.
any question about what happened.
No way you could do that now. Yeah, people have cameras in cameras now. It's crazy.
Yeah.
All right, cue number 2. Have you been to Scotland? And if not, is it on your list or not?
I have not been there. I'd love to go there. My wife would love to go there. She's always talking about going to Ireland to do some kind of a castle tour. And coincidentally, that's one of the guests that I'm looking for
Really?
on my podcast is someone who has unexpectedly inherited an island or a castle from an unknown relative.
Kind of like Fletch.
Is that what happened on Fluff?
Yeah, well, Fletch 2. Not the good Fletch, the second one.
Okay. I remember Chevy Chase was in that, but it has been like 30 years ago that came out or something?
Yeah, he inherited his family's ancestral estate in Mississippi, but it was a trash heap. But yeah.
Okay.
But no, that's a good topic for a guest if you can find that.
Yeah, and that would be a fun trip. Go over there and see all those old places.
Interesting. So I've been to Ireland a couple times, but I have not been to Scotland. I would love to go. And interesting that you say the castles because I was actually looking into staying in castles. Because there's so many over there.
Right.
Airbnb and Verbo, you can stay in a castle.
Yeah.
You can stay in lots of castles.
You could stay in a treehouse. There's all kinds of places on Airbnb.
Yeah, so you could literally travel through Scotland staying in castles every night. So, all right, maybe we'll do that together. I don't know. I have not been there either, so.
The Scott Tour.
All right, cue number 3. Your favorite James Bond actor.
You mean the one that played James Bond?
Yeah.
Uh,
Now, fun fact though, but the character was based on Scottish ancestry, and I believe there's one of them that is actually Scottish. I didn't look this up, but I could be wrong. But anyhow,
I
your
would
favorite
have to
actor.
say Pierce Brosnan.
Okay.
But honestly, I'm not a huge fan of the James Bond series.
This is a great question. I'm not either.
Okay, we're both bored already. Why don't we move on?
Always hope that the guest has a little bit more interesting stories than I do.
No, I look at James Bond movies and kind of, if you've seen one, you've seen every one of them because they're all based on the same plot structure.
Apparently, the people that get into these Bonds thing, though, this is a loaded question, so you know. But we're not into that. So,
Okay.
fun fact though, during COVID, everybody else was out pivoting and trying new things. I wasted my whole COVID experience not doing that, and I regret it. But that was my goal, was to watch all the James Bond movies because I'm not a James Bond fan. So I started. I got through.
You are a big thinker, aren't you?
I got through 4 or 5, and then I gave up. So that's how horrible I am on that too.
Well,
so.
if you got 4 in, that's a pretty good effort.
Yeah. So I guess I'm going to say Sean Connery because I haven't seen any of them. All right, cue number 4. Stranded on a deserted island, Scott bath tissue or Scotch tape? You can only have one.
What would you use tape for on a deserted island? I think
Oh,
it'd have
yes.
to be toilet paper. Yeah.
You don't think a tape would come in more handy?
Not for what you use toilet paper for.
I'm reasonably sure I could find an alternative at the bath tissue. That's a good
Maybe.
answer.
But yeah, if you don't have Scott tissue there, you're looking for some leaves or something, and who knows if you're picking up poison ivy, and now you got a much bigger problem.
That's probably true. But if you're looking for tape on a deserted island, probably not going to find a good substitute.
No, probably not. But I'm
All
trying
right,
to think.
you
what
think
you'd
about
use
that.
it
You
for.
might change your mind on that later. But hopefully we're never on a deserted island. And if we are, I hope it's Gilligan's Island because those guys are awesome. All right, cue number 5. You can only have one Scotch egg, Scotch bonnet pepper, or a glass of Scotch.
What was the middle one?
Scotch bonnet pepper.
I don't know what that is.
It's spicy.
Spicy. Oh man, this is a unique question because I don't eat eggs.
Okay, so it's not that.
I don't eat
Spicy stuff.
really spicy stuff. I mean, I'm always choosing the medium,
Okay.
not the really.
You're probably not going to want the
stuff.
Scotch bonnet pepper then.
No, not going to want that. And I don't know if I've ever had Scotch.
Wow. Okay.
Uh,
So you don't really care if you have any of these then?
no, I don't care. I'm 0 for 3 on that one, I guess.
All right, well, I'm going to suggest that you have a glass of scotch before you and the wife go to Scotland on that castle tour.
You
Because
should have put that in here.
yeah,
No.
well, it's early in the day, so.
That's true. That's true.
But you might want to go visit some of those distilleries after you have a glass.
We have visited some in St. Augustine.
Okay.
That was interesting. Yeah, went up there, my wife and I.
Yeah, but definitely don't have that Scotch bonnet pepper. You're not going to like that.
No. Okay.
It's not good. So, all right, Scott, thank you very much for being my guest. I will put links to the show and other information on What Was That Like in the show notes, so check that out. And also put a link to a computer tutor in case you have Windows as you need help. You've saved me from a lot of jams, so I appreciate that. So, highly recommend. And we will see you next week. Thanks.